I've recently heard of this term in the discussion surrounding astral projection and gang stalking via the astral, which, and I've said this multiple times now because I've done a few different episodes on it and videos on YouTube about it. This whole concept just blows my mind. The fact that there are people who are so heavily immersed in the demonic, who are immersed in witchcraft and Satanism and occultism, like to such a degree where they have the ability to astral project, and not only astral project, but then target people, travel to certain locations and spaces and places, and afflict and torment and, you know, target people via the astral. And you hear some of these stories, and I've posted like videos, and I've got tons of people who send me emails, long stories of experiencing this, where they're in their room at home and they know someone has come in their room and they're attacking them in the astral. They can't see them, but they know that they're there. And it's hard to explain unless you actually experience it, but it's like they're targeted. And it's just a whole level of like spiritual warfare that I never heard growing up in the church. I never learned about in Bible college. It's like I just recently, within the last year, heard about this thing, and it all started from I saw this testimony of an ex-Satanist, and that's what she would do. Her and her coven of witches, they would astral project and have a list of like a hit list, and they would go after people, particularly Christians. And it's crazy because then she even said, though, she said a lot of times Christians, they would try to go after them, but when the Christians were engaged in prayer and intercession, it's like there was a shield around them and they couldn't get in, couldn't attack them. But when you think about how many people who are not believers, don't have the Holy Spirit, don't have Jesus, oblivious to that, who maybe have opened the door to witchcraft, to the occult in their lives, just, ignorantly. And they're free game. And the fact that people can be attacked that way, it's just mind-blowing. But so astral projection, gang stalking, where people, you can astral project at everybody, travel, go after, target, torment, bother people. And so I posted a video recently, about a month ago, and I started getting all these comments from Christians, particularly Christians too. And they point out a verse to me. And they were talking about the silver cord. What you have to do is you have to break that silver cord, and then that will prevent people who are astral projecting from going back into their body. So the verse is in Ecclesiastes. Let me find it. Chapter 12, verse 6. Ecclesiastes 12, verse 6 says this. It says, "Remember your Creator before the silver cord is broken and the golden bowl is crushed. Pitcher by the spring is shattered and the wheel at the cistern is crushed." It says, remember the Creator before the silver cord is broken. And so I've just done some looking at the commentaries and just looking about like what are people saying about this? What have people said about this? And basically what people think is the silver cord. And again, I don't want to say I believe this because I've just recently heard about this. So I don't really have thoughts yet. I'm brainstorming here. I'm compiling what I think about this, but apparently the silver cord is what connects the spirit part of you, the spirit to the physical body. It's this connection point. And let me just see here. Let me find The idea of the silver cord is often linked to Ecclesiastes 12, verse 6 and 7, which mentions the phrase, before the silver cord is broken or snapped, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Verse we just read. While the exact biblical text may not explicitly reference astral projection, it is frequently interpreted within spiritual circles as alluding to the ethereal connection between body and soul. Now, this thinking, again, is very popular in New Age belief, in the New Age worldview, mysticism, Western mysticism, Eastern philosophy, esoteric thinking, I mean, all of that. So this is why I'm very hesitant. Now, what do I do know? Astral projection is real. I think it happens in the Bible. I think we see it in, for example, in Ezekiel chapter 8, where it says God took Ezekiel by the hair, lifted him up between the earth and the heavens, and he took him to certain places, and so he could see certain events take place. So to me, that's an example of astral projection. But here's the thing. It's like it was God-induced. God was the one who was doing it, who was initiating it. Ezekiel wasn't trying to go after this experience himself. He wasn't going through any rituals, any ceremonies. He wasn't trying to elicit help from spirit guides and all this other stuff. It was God was like, I'm taking you somewhere. And so God did it. So I think traveling via that way, call it the astral plane, the astral realm, whatever, I think if you are trying to get there yourself, this is where God forbids it. This is where it's a big no-no. Don't do it. Christians shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be participating in that. Because I've heard a lot of testimonies from Christians now who were involved in that, who did it before they became saved, and the stuff that happens there. Oftentimes these witches, these people doing it, you partner with demonic entities. Like you partner with demons in that realm. That's where they're living. And you partner with them to do whatever said task. So this is not some like practice that's just so nice and it's innocent and it's fun and everyone can just do it and blah, blah, blah. It's like it's a demonic thing. You don't want to do it. And so I think I'm not going to sit there and say that, because I see it in the text. In Ezekiel, I believe God led him in that, but God was the one who induced it. God was the one who took him. So, but it's not something that we should go after ourselves. And there are I've heard a lot of testimonies, again, from people who have done it, who became saved, and who were like, Christians shouldn't do this. And there was one testimony where this woman who was, I believe she was a witch, she was a witch, became saved, became a Christian, and then, but didn't really know that it was still wrong to do that, so she did it. When she was saved, she knew how to astral project, did whatever she did, and as she was coming back to her body, she felt this resistance. There was some entity that was there trying to block her from going back to her body. And if that happens, like, you die. And so I think she said she prayed in the astral realm, prayed. Jesus showed up, took care of the demon, and basically said, if you do this again, you're on your own. Don't do this again, and allowed her spirit to go back into her body. So it's something that Christians should not do, never engage with. But then on the video I did, a lot of people were like, if you were in this situation, pray that the silver cord would be broken. Meaning, this connection point that connects the spirit to the body, if you pray and God severs that cord, then that person who's ever astral projecting, who's in your space, will then die. So that's kind of what I've read about, of what it kind of means, what people were commenting on. Again, I don't know. It's just something that I find super fascinating. something that's just very definitely out there. But would love to know if any of you are watching or listening to this, what you all think about this whole silver cord thing. Is it purely a esoteric new age practice? Like I don't even know how to phrase it, but a lot of people are commenting on it. And you see this verse in the Bible talking about the silver cord, which is talking about life and death. So this whole connection point could very well be true. But praying that it would be severed and cut as a way to combat it, that's what I want to find out more about. And if people who are watching this or you're listening and have experience with like deliverance ministry or spiritual warfare and you've done this or heard of people doing it, well, that's what I want to find out more about, this silver cord and astral projection.